there's a, in that area, there's a, what do you call that? Oh, you know, like a area to eat.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right,
It's
sure.
like a break room. Shoot, that's hard to say, break room.
Mhm.
And, there's a little hallway that goes to that back, and the whole back side is all of IMD. Yeah, because I went last week, I thought she was upstairs in that building, so I actually walked the stairs Hey, Pam. What are you doing here? Pam Roberts. Pam Roberts.
I don't think she can hear you. It's like her.
She's trying to unmute.
Audio, video. They can hear us because it's making a little.
She's the nursing director at Canadian Valley, so I'm just.
You probably might want to.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I'll make sure she knows she doesn't have to be here.
But it says it's on, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, it's on.
It's probably my diminutive voice. I have trouble projecting, you know. The deaf people in rooms always like to sit next to me, you know, if there's a board meeting or something, because they can't hear everything that's being said. And so that way I can make sure they know.
All my life, I've been told, it's my voice.
Uh-huh.
You know how to whisper. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But it came in right handy when I was younger.
Yeah.
It changed, you know, I went from
Yeah.
12, went to 14 ounces higher, and finally leveled out.
And it's low, buddy.
Yeah, and I was able to act like my father.
Now that doesn't surprise me. The corporate.
Todd won't be in today.
The corporate head. Yeah, I bet he loved that when he found out.
I got caught.
Yeah.
Even though you're always 16, you always think you're smarter than everyone else.
How old are yours now, Lacey?
Olivia's 19, Connor's 14, 12.
Wow. Three teenagers
32
in the
years
house.
old. 30.
You have any grandkids?
It's fine.
Really?
The day of the last day of service office. Day of the call, he was born the day.
Oh,
So was ants.
really?
Her child was born. Her, the weirdest thing about it was her daughter was divorced too. Right?
Oh.
It's like we're all there. She's showing me pictures.
Oh my gosh.
Back when our grandchildren were born.
That's crazy.
Hey, Laura, see something, see if they can hear me, because I don't know if the microphone up there.
Can you all hear us? If you can, please like unmute and let us hear you. Can we do that? Hey, Nathan, you're new. Nate. You go by Nate?
Yeah, I usually go by Nate. How are you?
Good. So Nate is new from Princess Tuttle, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So he has a little bit of time because you're not starting your cohort until after Christmas, right?
Correct.
So you're just putting everything together now.
Right.
Awesome. Cool. Who else do we have? Okay, Pam Roberts, I'm dying to know why you're here.
Why I'm here?
Yeah.
Because I was told to be.
Oh, okay.
Does that count?
That sounds about right. Okay.
No, we have a new surge tech director basically, and she's being supported by me. So I
Okay.
am as her support and as just helping out instructional services at Canadian Valley. Go Chiefs.
She's what?
I said, go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. Pam's son
I
is
have
the-
no sleep from last night, so I'm trying to stay awake.
Did you drive? Were you at the game?
No, my daughter got to go to this one. We'll go to the next one. So we try to trade off.
Awesome. So how cool is that, right? Her deep snapper, right?
Yes. 10th
Wow.
season. So
Yeah. How cool is that to know someone from the world champions, right?
3 Super Bowl rings that boy has. It's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
Crazy.
And where did you play high school football?
Washington, Oklahoma, south of Norman.
Really?
He's a Washington Warrior. Walked on at OU.
Really?
Walked on in the NFL basically after 3 years of trying. So yeah, he's
That's so cool.
done it the hard way.
Yeah. So I always like to tell people that fun fact about Pam because I will never forget it. It's, you know, football's near and dear to my heart. So,
Football season.
Chiefs.
She was close to Taylor Swift's mother.
Oh, I have a picture with her. She's my bestie.
Taylor is,
No, her mom, Travis's mom,
Travis's mom.
Mama
She looks
Kelsey.
Yeah,
fun.
his mother, not her mother.
Yeah, Kelsey's mom.
She looks like fun.
I mean, I've met Taylor too, but that doesn't, I mean, I'm more impressed with Kelsey's mom.
Yeah,
She's got
okay,
credentials.
yeah. And two kids who played in the NFL, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
That was always my dream, is to have boy children that were phenomenal athletes.
Play ball.
Oh, yeah, don't ask me about
Let
my
me tell you, they
two
all-
girl
they all-
children. Well, anyway. So, okay, cool. Thanks, Pam.
Thanks.
So this isn't my meeting, but they wanted me to say something out loud. So maybe we should go ahead and go around everyone that's in there real quick. I think it's good to know who we're talking to and where you're at. Well, obviously, everyone is related to Surge Tech. If Surge Tech is not what you do, if you'd let us know what you do as well, that'd be great. So we already talked to Nate, and Chanda, you popped up. So Chanda, you want to go next? Maybe.
I'm Chanda Lewis. I'm from Canadian Valley Technology Center, and I'm your Vice President of Surgical Technology for the State Department
Yeah.
for leadership.
For Health Science Educators Association. Whoop, whoop. Good job. Okay, Lee, I can see you up there too.
Hello, Lee Elliott. I'm from Autry Technology Center, Surge Tech instructor.
Cool. Let's see, we have names up here. Cindy, are you Cindy Strike? Are you with us? Okay. Yeah, Erica Mann?
Hello.
Hello. I don't know what you look like, Erica Mann. She's like, where are you from?
I am with Canadian Valley Vo-Tech at the Cowling campus.
Fantastic. And Julie Pennington?
Hey, everybody, Julie Pennington from Moore Norman Technology Center. I am the program director. And then I've got Fallon Hammond, and she is my second instructor.
Sweet. Thank you. Okay. Liv, are you out there? I like saying your name, Liv Roca.
Can I unplug it?
Sounds like someone fell. Hello? Liv, Whitley? Anyone? Okay. Liv's got both things off. Whitley?
What? Unmuted? Okay.
No, Whitley, you're not muted.
You.
This.
Just tell us where you're at.
Oh, I am at Canadian Valley Technology Center at the Cowan campus.
Okay, so there's two of you. You and Erica are both new instructors and you're at the Cowan campus.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I just, many people have been here a really long time, and then we have 3 or 4 that are like brand newbies. So that's why I'm going through it. Let's see, Carrie Sitton, I think you're with Tulsa Tech.
Hey there. Sorry about my camera. I'm having issues. So anyway, and I'm eating, so that's probably best that I'm not on camera. I'm with Tulsa Tech, Director of Instructional Services, and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. How about, let's see, Cindy, we're going to come back to you. Are you there? Okay, we'll move on. Brittany Colbreth?
Yes, Brittany Colbreth at Metro Tech, Director of Curriculum Instructional Support.
Okay, cool. And I just saw that, Sissy, you just logged on. Are you making sure Lee's doing what he's supposed to?
Andrea Long at Autry Technology Center. Yes, I am the Director of Full-Time Programs over our business and health. So I get to support Lee and his surgical tech program.
Okay, wonderful. Can you move that little box? Or I can't see everyone. Rachel Snyder. Yeah.
Also at Autry Tech and Director of Student Services. So I also support Lee in all the programs, just in a different way that Andrea does. But I help input the instructional framework hours. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to make sure to be on here.
Okay. And I know it's like, scroll down on the far right, and maybe some of those names at the bottom will pop up. Is that it? See there, yeah. More names. I just want to make sure we're getting everyone. Maybe order. Oh, well, no. Whoops. Anyone else out there want to introduce yourself?
I'm Brianna Wilson. I'm from West Watkins Technology Center.
Good. I was wondering where you were, Brianna.
I'm here.
You're awesome. Okay, so now we'll introduce ourselves in this room. I'm going to go ahead and let you start if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
Okay.
I'm Denise Kimbler. I'm with Tulsa Tech, instructional coordinator that supports the Surge Tech program at the Health Science Center.
Okay.
I'm Lacey Elsheimer. I'm the surgical technology coordinator at Tulsa Tech.
I'm Todd Grohl, the Surgical Technology Program Director at Central Technology Center in Drum Right.
And I'm Pam Wittenberg, and I'm the Assistant Campus Director over the Surge Tech program at Central Tech in Drum Right.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm Laura Morris, and you may or may not have received emails from me. Yeah, so apparently, well, I'll let Em go ahead. You introduce yourself, and then I'm gonna say something, and then it's all yours, okay?
Oh no, I'm gonna drag you into this. This is awesome.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm Emily Gedra. You've definitely gotten emails from me, especially about this. I'm the newest program specialist for the Health Science Division, and I'm the one helping Laura with our instructional framework and CTIMS and the lovely time that is. So thank you for coming to this meeting. Thank you for showing up and participating in this. This is the first one, so you guys are a little bit the guinea pigs. So hopefully we have some really good discussion, and I hope that we get some things kind of settled. I know this stuff is really stressful, especially when it's like you don't know what everybody else is doing. And since Surge Tech is one of those things that it's not, like we talked about earlier, our right to work license, but it's a certification, and there's just some accepted things about it. We do a lot of things similarly, but not everything. And so I'm hoping to get some really good feedback. I'm so glad to be here.
Okay.
So I sent out the kind of agenda and the information sheet. And it's just some points that we're going to hit about total program hours. So when we were doing the framework this year, for financial aid reasons, the discussion started about having set program hours. So for the longest time, we had it was the number, and you could go 50% above or below that number. As we understand it, that is no longer the case. And so we have to set a number of hours, and that's what it has to be. Which I know everybody is super duper excited when I just said that. So the total program hours, whatever we said it has to be. We're also going to talk about courses, but the big discussion has been surrounding total program hours.
So that's where I want to jump in. So it's kind of, how many of you have been part of Career Tech for longer than 5 minutes? Okay, everybody, yay! Those of us who've been here, closing in on 30 years, I can tell you, can you believe that? Because I'm so young, right? I know.
Me too, I have long hair.
I know, me too. And mine was long. Sorry. We have, you can't hear, okay? Is anyone else can't hear?
It kind of echoes, and like whenever she is talking to you guys live, then we really can't hear.
Are you logged in to this webinar? I'm not. Okay. I'm not either.
It's not like feedback. It's just, I think it's the acoustics.
I'm sorry. Our thing is way over here. There used to be bookshelves in here, and that was where the conference table was. So we shout towards that clear plastic thing in the sky. Can you hear better? A little bit? Okay. Well, again, I do have one of those voices that tends to carry. So, Chandra, yes, she does. So I want to say thanks to everyone for logging on. We are the very first meeting, period. That's why I think we have lots of extra, we have lots of people that are curious about what's going to happen over the next month or so. All of the career tech areas, the occupational areas like health science, trade and industry, business and IT, we're all doing the exact same thing as far as coming up with standard numbers for curriculum. I can tell you that we just figured out, not 30 minutes before you guys got logged on, what the answer was to some of the questions that I'm sure you have. Emily alluded to the first one. So at 12:20, I was in the hallway talking to the T&I supervisor and the business and IT supervisor, and I said, so they're gonna wanna know, do we all have to be the same? Do we, can you do anything above? Can you do anything below? And they looked at me and they said, let us know when you find that out. And I'm like, dude, I have a meeting at 1. So I called my boss, Corey, and luckily she was walking in the door, and we talked to her, and this is from the mouth up, okay? So originally at summer conference, we didn't have an answer because we didn't have an answer until 35 minutes ago. But at summer conference, I said, we need this for us. And we do. We need this for the State Department of Career Tech. Why? Because you have, first of all, it's been almost 20 years since we've updated the framework, and it's way past time. We've gone through, for those of you who are new, we've gone through many, many iterations as we have changed state directors over the years. We used to have, everybody had the exact same. Okay, there wasn't any flexibility. You had this. If you wanted to go over it, that was great, but we're going to set the minimum standards. So we've come all the way back around to that same point of view. Welcome to education. This is how it goes. Things will be this way. They get completely changed. They come back completely, they bounce completely back to the other side of the wall. The only reason that we're doing this is not for, it is for federal financial aid, okay? That is the #1 reason. While we are addressing the numbers for basically adult-only programs, we're also going to address all the other programs too. So that they're just kind of extra. They just get to have extra fun. So when it comes to, and when I also visited with Corey, the other thing that she wanted to clarify, which makes me nervous, and I have a pit in my stomach, and you don't even know this. Now she's nervous too. There's nothing better than having someone who has high anxiety to begin with, and then I throw things like that at her. We're gonna toughen you up, girl. No, what I wanted to say is that we need this for federal financial aid, yes. There is, Corey also alluded to the fact that she didn't care if we had solid results when we left today. I'm going to tell you that I personally really want you to leave this meeting kind of feeling this is where we're at, okay? So regardless of what we do, you'll know where we're leaning before you leave, okay? The bad news is final decision is with us. So you're not going to like that. And when I say final decision, I mean, you all are gonna tell us, we're gonna hope that everyone agrees as best we can. And we're gonna go off of that. But if we have outliers and people that cannot come together, we've got to make a decision either way. And let me explain our timeline. The reason we're pushing so hard to get all of this done right now is because we have never had CTIMs open at the first of the year. It's always been like March or April. And we're trying really hard to have the framework uploaded and ready to go. And then, can you imagine what a breeze it'll be? You'll just be able to go and say, Surge Tech, boom, because it's all the same. You'll be able to do this, boom, all the same, right? It's going to be so much better for the people who enter the information. And I know some of you are out there. So that's kind of, so I'm going to say, she says, you know, that we're going to come back and talk more about it. I don't know when there's time to come back and talk. So I'm being really honest with you, okay? You're all we have today. You are it. We want to do the best we can to make everyone, to facilitate the process as best we can, okay? So I realize you may leave and not be happy. And I apologize in advance because I've learned, this is one thing I've learned in almost 30 years, there's absolutely no way to make everyone happy. So and I, believe it or not, am a people pleaser. And so it bothers me for us to leave and, you know, anyone to have sour feelings. But you all, what you're going to find out is that you are way, way, way more alike than you are different. So this is actually a perfect group for us to start with because most of you have 1185, is that right? Yeah. 5 or 6 of the groups have that as your standard number. So it's like, whoo, that makes it easier because we have a starting point for the discussion, I guess. So Emily, you want to tell them what your process has been up to this point?
Laura?
Yes.
Would you mind, Emily made a statement about financial aid earlier. Could she repeat that? Because I couldn't quite understand what she was saying about financial aid no longer doing something with the 150%, or I'm not quite sure. I'd love for that to be repeated.
What that meant was, what we never really gave a tiddlywink about what people were choosing, as long as you were not 50% above the hours. If you are like, we're way out of bounds, then the feds would go ding, 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 ding. This all is result of the feds have thought that we were all doing the same number of hours, program hours, this entire time. They did not realize that the agency was saying, yeah, you can do this many and you can do this many and you can do this many. And so they had a financial aid meeting in November of last year, and it kind of turned everything on its head. And that's when we realized that, that in order for us to be in compliance for federal financial aid rules, we had to have a set number. Now, let me explain. The thing is, it's because we are clock hour. If we were credit hour, this would not exist, okay? Because credit hour, they don't care. They just give the whole degree, boom, you get that, right? So it's one of the really weird things that Oklahoma has that no other state is exactly like us. They may have some tech centers and may have some adult training places, but we're the only one that is set up this particular way. So we're always kind of the odd man out. Did that make sense, Andrea?
Yes, I had not heard that financial aid was driving the fact that all programs, all surgical tech programs across the state had to be the exact hours. This is new information to me, so I wanted to make sure I was understanding that.
Me too. I had thought that if it was more than, well, you know, okay, a little bit more, you would provide, this last year, you provided justification. If it was less than, well, there really isn't gonna be a less than from whatever we come up with today. So you all, I want you to think minimum, okay? So that's what I believe that that's where we need to go with this is what we all do, or this is what the minimum is. Now, when I ask, what are they gonna do if someone has, because a lot of you over the years have added like, I'm trying to think what it's called, a review process, like you say, we're gonna do the CST review or whatever your certification is, and it's gonna be 100 hours. And Pam, I know you're listening right now about practical nursing and you're thinking, yeah, that's right. There's because everyone's gonna love this whole thing, I promise. If you're doing extra hours that are not whatever, everyone agrees this is what we need to do, then it's going to be, you're going to have to figure out where else you can offer it. Maybe you offer it through your WED program, which now stands for Workforce and Economic Development, used to be ACD, short term, whatever you want to talk, whatever you want to call it. That's it. What we will need is that the hours turned into us reflect the number that we decide on. So, what other questions do you all have? I'm feeling the love.
Will some of,
sorry.
will some of the, we're in Northwest Oklahoma, so our applicant pool looks a little bit different than what a metro, program looks like, where they're getting a larger number and they can have prerequisite requirements to get into the program, where we're actually teaching those courses, because
Right.
if we offer prerequisites, we're decreasing our applicant pool even more. So I hope that that's discussed as well.
I don't think that that's going to be a problem. I believe that what we've done in nursing anyway, over the last 15 years since we had a common curriculum for the most part, was anything we say, this is what the courses are. If you choose to offer that as a prerequisite, that is completely in your domain. Do we all agree that everyone needs anatomy and physiology in Surg Tech? Sure. Right? Yeah, I'm just saying, yeah, that might be something we could agree on. Some of you may offer it before, and some of you may offer it as part of. I understand your concern about the hours, and that's something that we have to, kind of figure out there. And I have to tell you that I swear that my adorable little friend at Wes Watkins, her applicant pool is way worse than yours, so wham. Oh, you're not even smiling, sissy. That was a joke. Okay, never mind.
I'm smiling. Hey, I do have a question though.
We're crying.
This is gonna be for all of us, right? Even though I only do the NCCT certification? So my hours will have to be the same as Tulsa Tech's.
So let me explain that.
Okay.
The agreement was, the last time I was in the room with a bunch of Surg Techs, was regardless of which certification we are offering, the content is the same. We want our students to be trained and ready. All that will make a difference is what pathway based on their background, right? If I have a college degree already, I may go towards CST and everyone else is going NCCT since Association of Surg Tech screwed us over. So, by the way, why are none of you like the president of that organization yet? If you were, maybe we could get this.
Because we don't belong to that family, Laura. We're not a member of that family. I'd love to be the president, but gosh, I think I have to marry one of those people that are at the top of the AST.
You know what, Linda? I think your significant other would understand. Just go for it.
Well, anything for career tech.
So that's what I've heard. You could tell me that I'm wrong, but I heard the quality, the level is going to be the exact same regardless of what test they take.
Well, will speak up and say that I have never, ever changed my framework from where it was, okay, when I was doing CST to NCCT, nor would I be interested in doing so. It's absolutely worked. I've been doing
Right.
it for 4 years and my results are good. I don't want to change that. So, I mean, that's just the way I feel about it. I never, ever changed it.
Right.
So.
And if we have,
We
if we have
never
two
changed our,
pathways, if we have two pathways, if we're offering both, then we would still teach them the same. So
well, and that's what I,
Exactly. Okay, I want to say Renee, and that's not right.
that's okay.
Rena.
Rihanna, yeah.
Rena, crap. Okay,
We
sorry.
never changed ours either from the CST to the NCCT. What I was concerned about was like Chanda and them that are doing the dual, if they had a lot more hours than I do, how am I? Okay, so I'm jumping the gun.
No, Tulsa Tech's nodding their head. They do the same thing. They have the dual pathway, depending on what the student who comes in, what their background is, determines which test they can sit for. Everyone can sit for NCCT, but the CST now, they have to have an associate's degree, correct? Or will have to very soon?
Yeah.
Okay,
Will.
okay.
I think my one question on the ones that have been doing the TS-C is, have you updated and moved to the newest core curriculum that ARC's done?
For ARC, have not gone to that because here's the deal, not, not associated with that, don't do those sort of things, so no, have not, I mean, I've looked at it, okay, and I don't see it as, I mean, obviously, since they're going towards the college type of thing, that's what's about it. No, I have not, I'm still using the older framework, okay, to that, I've seen the other framework, but, there again, you concentrate on what you're, what you're doing.
Lacey, do you see that there's a big difference?
There is some differences. They've taken some of like what would be considered nursing skills that we taught out, and they've added more into like what search tech skills truly are, when it comes to like pre-op, post-op, things like that. So, I mean, yeah, there's some, but it's not major, but I just wondered if that was something that everybody had done that's on the TS, that's
Okay.
doing that, so.
Okay.
I have a question. So when you say, Laura, you say we're gonna set the number, is this a specific one number or is it a range of numbers? It's a specific.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, just wanted to
promise
clarify.
We didn't have to do this. We would have loved to be out seeing new teachers instead of doing meetings every other day with different groups. Not that we don't love y'all, but we love you way more when we get to see you in person than we do like this kind of thing. So this isn't a fun way to, and nobody likes the state making decisions. We know that. We're being told this is what you have to do. And we look at them and go, would you like to have these conversations with these people? And they go, oh, that's why I get paid a lot more than you. So anyway. And she gets paid even less than I do, and she's running the whole thing. So Emily has kind of set the bar for the other divisions. She's been very organized and has lots of information now. She doesn't like it when I say things like that, but she's done a really good job of trying to pull all information that we have so that it would be ready for today. So what do you think we should do first, Emily?
Well, so what I did in an effort to make this as easy as possible on everybody was I tried to find everything that was similar so that we could just say, okay, well, we all pretty much agree on that. It's a non-issue. I did some combining of all the courses and hours, and right now the number we have is 1185. That's where it sits at, that's what it's been. And the average going both directions as far as, the most common and also just the statistical average, it currently sits at 1145. And that's because we have a couple teach outs kind of skewing that number. So 1185 really is the most common number. And the courses that fit in with the 1185s versus like one of our programs is 1481. They're pretty much the same up until kind of the small add-on courses at the end. So, I mean, obviously you have the things where everyone has their surge tech practicums. That is a thing that you do. That is not something that we're going to have discussion about per se. But a lot of the differences are having the core, like having the med term, having the A&P. And then we have some, like our large program has disaster and emergency preparedness, which is not one that's in any other program. So some of these add-on courses, you know, the 30, 40, even 15 to 20 hour course add-ons are what's adding up over the 1185. And so on the agenda where I said bringing in like your course syllabi and everything like that, and looking at your courses, I mean, you're going to know which ones are going to be ones that you've added on in your school. That like if you went to another search tech programs, you know, somewhere else, you know which ones are going to be the ones that your school added on that are going to be different. And so,
or if they're not in the framework for AST, or you know what I'm saying? Because there is a nationwide framework that says you have to cover all these things, right? Your test blueprint is called different things for different groups, but that's what all of this, I'm assuming, is based on. That's where we started 20 years ago. So, okay.
So I guess in my mind, it's like, well, if you started at 1185, what do you think would fit into that 1185? And, you know, I want to kind of hear the discussion about like, if you think it should be higher, if you think it should be lower, what do you think you don't commonly see in a search tech program that you guys add, and you add it for a specific reason, and then that might be a discussion to have also. I feel like I can sit here and I can do the math all day long, and I can tell you what I think is right. I can tell you what's most common. I can tell you healthcare background, what they did in the hospitals. I can tell you the training programs that are the people that are being trained outside of career tech. I can do that all day long, but I'm not the one teaching you. So I would like to facilitate the conversation rather than tell you this is what I'm going to do. I would also like to minimize the amount that I'm the bad guy. So if you guys want to do the talking for me, that would be absolutely lovely.
Well, you said 1185, right?
Yeah.
And I think mine says the 1200. Okay, so 15 hours for me. I mean, I can obviously take that out somewhere. What I think we ought to kind of start with, how many people think it should be more? I mean, that's kind of where you can start and go back. You know, is there anybody that thinks it needs to be more? I mean, that's somewhere to start.
Okay.
I have a quick question. I know that Canadian Valley changed theirs. What did you guys change to?
I think Ashley went off of Tulsa Tech, and I think she used their framework, and is that correct, Lacey? At 1050?
No, we're at 1200.
I used them years ago, the same framework.
Yeah, so I have Canadian Valley as the requests that were approved for this year. For this year, I have the teach outs were the 1356, and then I have the this year's the non-teach outs at 1050. That's what I have them set up for Canadian Valley.
Can you explain what that means? I don't know what teach out.
So the teach out programs are like, this is the last year that you're following that set of courses. So say you had a student that started last year in a program, and you're like, okay, the program is 1356 hours long. And then
Yes, that is correct. 1356, and now we're at 1050.
Yeah, and you're like, well, that student already started the 1356 program, so you got to let them finish out that program. That's what the teach out is for. So the moving forward plan is the 1050 based on the request. The old plan was 1356 based on the teach outs that were submitted.
Because that's what you guys asked for. That's what Canadian Valley asked for.
Apparently so.
Go ahead, Julie.
Moore Norman is at 1300. I can see us going down to 1200. I think 1185 might be stretching it a little bit.
Sorry, I'm just now piping in. I finally got my computer working. We're sitting down in Southwest Oklahoma at 1185. And to be honest with you, given we followed the Lawton public school system, and if you do the math, I can't get more than 1050 because Career Tech has extended their breaks because of not Career Tech, but Lawton Public School has extended their breaks. So
your break, you guys align exactly to whatever Lawton Public Schools calendar is.
Correct.
So when the calendar is out, do you not have any students then in May and June?
No, we go through May. So we're a 9-month program.
Okay. Huh? Great.
But
Thanks
we
a lot.
also-
Turn your computer back off, Liv.
Sorry.
We follow more in Norman's, and we get 1,300 hours with, what they're at. Which, like I said, I think we can break it down to 1,200. And we could try to squeeze it to 1185. I think it's just going to be very tight.
So for me, I guess, so the programs that are really high, like our 1356s and our 1481s and things like that, those are way above the 1185. Yeah, I mean, relevant to everybody else. Is anybody just super uncomfortable with going to between 1185 and 1200? Is anybody like, no, we need significantly more because you're doing something extra that you think needs to be included?
I'm fine with it. I'm comfortable between 1185 and 1200. I mean, if you ask our students, they would want it to be longer. We push.
Oh, they would.
In this program, we push.
Yeah.
I mean, we are pushing there's no way that you can't have curriculum basically going on where your clinical aspects and doing it. They're coming back. I mean, I polled them last year. They all thought the program ought to be, 50 to 75 hours at least longer. But, in all reality, that's from a student point of view. I mean, it is what it is.
And I think some of it does deal with also on how much cases you can get at your
Correct.
clinical side, right?
Correct, that's
Some of-
extremely important.
Yeah, because when you have your metro areas and you can go to all these big hospitals and stuff, that can help get their cases and
Right.
get them out quicker. But when you have all these smaller facilities, like, they just can't, and they've got to get so many cases to be
Yes,
able to
you
sit
have
for
to,
the test.
right, yeah.
Because, and this is for those of you in the room that are not surge techs, this is what I've learned. They do their cases, it's like paramedic. You have to have X number of pediatric thoracic or X number of, so they have to have a level of exposure to a whole huge list of different things. And that's always the challenge is, where do we do pediatrics? If you're in rural Oklahoma, it's tough.
Well, to see how much it changed, over
Yeah.
20 some odd years ago, it was 80 cases level 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Now it's gone to where even you're breaking out agreements, it gets a lot more difficult. I mean,
Right.
to get in and do those things.
So many endoscopies,
Right.
because
Yeah,
people
right.
think, oh, can't you just go to the surgery center down here? Well, no,
Yeah.
because, so that's for my Andreas and Rachel's and Carrie's, and that's for those people that may or may not know those things. Just FYI. Okay.
I was going to speak up on Cindy Strite's behalf at Metro Tech. She's having some technical problems with with audio, but we're currently sitting at 1230 for hours, and she wanted to advocate just to not go any lower than the 1185, mainly to accommodate clinical hours. So that's kind of the voice that we're trying to state today.
So that takes us back to Canadian Valley and their 1050. Right? Or 10 something?
1050.
Yeah. So what's your thought on what's your thought on adding 100 hours, 130 hours?
Well, our framework right now we don't have 3 practicums as most people. Are you all doing 3 practicums? Because we've lost a practicum in here, it seems like.
We also don't have
that-
any of the prereqs, or we do have we don't have prereqs, so we have midterm and AMP in our overall hours. I don't know if that's kind of making a difference in some of the hours across the state.
That's what I was wondering, because they got rid of midterm and A&P.
So what I was going to say is that regardless, whatever is the basic that everyone needs to have. Like, for example, in nursing, we have to have long-term care in nursing, okay? So very few of our schools teach that. They don't teach that in the practical nursing program. Does that make sense? It's a prereq. That still counts. This is where it gets weird because this is stuff that I don't live in every day, but it still counts towards the hours, right? Counts towards the hours that you're going to turn in for us. The student who already took that long-term care is not gonna get paid Pell money for that long-term care. Does that make sense? If they did not take it, it doesn't matter if, so you might not get, if you are at 1185, right? And you pull prereqs out for someone else to do. So Chanda, let's say you pull out MedTerm and AMP, okay? Let's just guess, whatever. We pull that out, then the students, even though our number is this, your individual financial aid advisor is going to adjust the number for that student. Does that make sense? Okay, so they're not going to get paid, they're not going to get paid for a class they're not taking right then. Okay, I'm sorry, did you guys have something?
I was just looking at how she got to 1050.
I'm Laura. So just for clarity, the Surge Tech, am I hearing, because I hear a couple of schools that are aligning with the public school system in their area, are they allowed, so Surge Tech allows high school students in their programs?
No, they're just following the calendar.
So
Yeah,
how come
we
they're
have-
following the calendar if it's not a high school driven program? I'm a little confused about that.
Because we have to be closed when Norman and Moore public schools are closed. Our campus cannot be opened.
Same here.
That's interesting. Thank you for that clarity.
Their campus has to be closed when their sending schools are closed. So it doesn't matter, like you don't run adult programs even when your high school is not there. So what do they do? Nursing and.
I mean, correct, yeah. I'm sorry?
I was trying to figure out what they do when they run programs that are not set up during the actual school calendar. Does that make sense? Never mind. It doesn't matter. I was thinking about what people are doing if they, I'm in a classroom and I don't, like Nate's program is going to start in January, right? So
Yes.
he's going to be all through the summer, right, Nate? To get his 1,000 hours in there. There's no way he can do it all in 3 months, 4 months, right?
Well, as right now, we've got a January through December program. So there may be a small break there. It's still
not the whole
technically a month. No, not the whole summer off.
That's what, so so how we spread it out is just gonna be different for everyone.
So what do they do with the LPN programs? Do they break for the whole summer and then they come back in the fall? So what happens in the?
No, our LPN program and then also our sonography program, they run on 11 months. Sonography is longer, but they run the whole time around and then they take a break. So the campus is opened during the summer for those adult programs, but ours is not set up that way. We are a 10-month program.
And a lot of it has to do, Chandra, with the schools and how they want to pay the teachers, whether they're on a 9-month, 10-month, 11-month contract. So I think that's my guess, is why some of those programs are set up that way. So we'll never all be alike on those, for sure.
That makes it difficult.
Yes. Welcome to Emily's world.
Question, just clarification of what you said earlier, Laura. So if AMP and MedTerm are prereqs and they take them, those are still counting, those hours are still counting towards that, say we do 1,200. Even if they take them as prereqs before the program, they're still counting as towards those 1,200 or not?
Yes, those hours still will count towards the 1,200 because that's what the plan of study is, okay? So the plan of study has all of these courses lined up in it, and regardless of where they take them or when they take them, this is the complete package you have to finish this program, right?
Okay.
Now,
So either way, whether they're prereqs or not, they count as.
money is different. So the money is the only thing that's different, and those are only for students who are doing Pell, right? So, but unfortunately, a lot of the decisions that have been made in career tech education over the years, AKA 600-hour programs, 900-hour programs are all based on federal financial aid instead of what's the magic number of hours we really need to have. So they are asking us to walk away from the magic numbers where people can get more federal financial aid and give us what is it that we need. Just
So
the
do we need, so are you saying we need to add, so we need to add the A&P and midterm, even if we're not offering it, so that all of our numbers become the same?
Yeah.
We need to add that into our program, even if our students would ever take A&P and midterm in our program, so everybody has the same numbers.
Correct.
I have a question.
Their plan of study. Does that make sense? It's like when you went, I'm sorry, I'll promise to come right back to you, Liv. It's like when you went to college and they say, this is what you have to take, this is your degree sheet, right? These are all the things you have to do. I don't care where you did them or how you did it, but before you can end, you have to have these things. It's the exact same thing. Okay, Liv, sorry.
So, and forgive me if it was already stated when I was having audio difficulty, but if we set a low number and some go over, is there a penalty?
It won't be approved.
As far as, what do you mean?
Well, so the process is, and why we have visitors is because our visitors have to help with, they're not the classroom teachers for Surge Tech, but they have to help they have to decide what programs are going to be offered for the next year, and then they input everything into a program approval system called CTIMS. So every year, bless their hearts, they've had to go out and say, I want this program, these are the courses, these are the tests we're going to give, and these are the teachers aligned to it, okay? And that's approved, and that's where Emily got her list of all the different numbers. And so there won't be, it will need to be whatever number we decide. That's what she told me today. It's got to be whatever you decide. Now, if you want to add more things on, then you may have to do it in a different way. Maybe where it wouldn't be like, you might have to do it through short-term adult if you felt like they needed to pay you for it. Maybe you just offer classes in your classroom past a certain point. And I don't know. I don't care, but we just have to come up with the bottom. So you I promise you, if you feel very strongly about adding more hours, then your school will work with you. The students will not get financial aid for any more hours.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I feel like I'm shouting. Sorry, I'm trying really hard for you to be able to hear us.
So like, Liv, if you're at 1050 and then say A&P's 160 hours and then midterm was at 45 hours or something. So that gets us at 1255. So if everybody said 1255, and if we didn't teach A&P, then financial aid just wouldn't pay them for that extra time, but we'd all still be on the same number, even though we didn't teach it. So financial aid just needs to know that they need to know that part. So they're not paying students and then them need to pay it back because they didn't set for that extra 200 hours. I guess that's what we're saying. I don't know.
And whatever we will need to know from your school that, yes, this is what we're doing, check the box. And then honest to God, yes, I know I'm not supposed to say this, all of you in higher administration out in my tech centers, I don't care what you do. I really, really don't. If you feel very strongly that you need to add something somewhere for some reason, power to you. I'm just having to fill in, Em and I are having to check a box. And I apologize for it, but the more, we can do to get to that point, then y'all can do whatever you want.
So, I'm sorry. So say Shanda is at 1050 and we all decide we're gonna be at 1185, if she doesn't meet her 1185, is that gonna be checked?
She won't
I mean,
be-
how is she gonna prove she hit her 1185? How are we gonna prove we hit our 1185?
Okay,
That's my
here's the thing, Liv, we had, years ago, we used to do program visits where we came and we actually sat down with each one of the teachers and you showed us your curriculum, you showed us everything. And it was just like having an AST site visit, okay? But much nicer because it was me. Anyway, no one's thinking I'm as funny as I am. Anyway, and we would always bring someone with us from another school. And so they could see how another program was run. We could say, hey, do you see anything that needs improvement? You know, that kind of thing. So it was a give and take thing. There was lots of feedback that was offered back and forth, or, oh my gosh, I saw the coolest thing over at this campus. Let me tell you about it. So, but since that time, we've gone to district accreditation. And so we no longer look at the individual programs. Much to our dismay, the program people feel very strongly that there was a great value to that. I don't know that the schools agreed. They didn't like it when we would report out and go, oh, by the way, you need to change this, and this. They don't have a big enough room. They need more clinical space. They need, you know, they didn't love that, but it is what it is. But anyway, when we would do that, we were looking at programs. No, we will never know.
Okay.
We will never know. And I can tell you, well, that's kind of a lie. When we come do district accreditations, every accreditation examiner is given a list of all the programs and what they've been approved for hour-wise. So if they walked in and talked to you and you go, oh, really, ours is only, you know, 10, 50, I promise it would show up on the whole district report and it wouldn't be a big deal. But so no one's looking, no one's going to penalize you, no one's going to do anything. Yeah, I'm from the state. I'm here to help. I can't do anything if you're not doing what we ask, but I can, you know, whatever. No big deal.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean,
we won't know. So it's just, yeah, it sucks.
okay.
But we trust
We have integrity.
I know.
I think that's the problem. I think that's the problem. We're trained to do the right thing.
I know, even when nobody's looking, because nobody's looking when the surge techs are there, are they? Ain't nobody in that OR except for you.
I think the big thing also is that for like financial aid, that's really the big thing. So if your financial aid office is reporting the hours the student needs to get paid for, then that's really what they're caring about. So Laura's right. I mean, we're not going to come in and say, tell me exactly how many hours you taught from this day to this day about this thing. It's not going to happen. I also, even if you told me to do that, I'm like,
yeah, that's a dumb waste of time.
I'm not gonna do it. But so like the big thing about it is the financial aid. That's what's driving so much of this. And the financial aid office, I mean, after this process is said and done, they're gonna know what their process is gonna need to be about, okay, you know, like prereqs, you know, even though you're not the one offering them, it's part of their plan of study. So that's what this program entails, but they're not taking those classes with you. The financial aid office knows that they need to ask for not the 1,200, they need to ask for the 1050 or whatever it may be. So that process is going to be known by the financial aid people, as I understand it. We're not laying out a process, but the financial aid people are doing a process for that.
So basically that would come down to like the school. So if we were at 1,200, whatever, 1,185, 1,200, whatever was that, and someone was at 1,463,
right,
whatever. If they wanted to check, if the school wanted to pay someone the extra, 263 hours, you don't care about.
Yeah, but good luck.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
don't
gonna
think
be-
that no financial aid officer is going to put themselves out there to say, oh, this is what we're doing, but we're really not. I mean, you know,
That's what I was trying to
when it
figure out
gets
here.
to the, I mean, the
Right.
200 and some hours, that's
Right.
way different than 15. You know what I'm saying? That's,
I'm really just trying to figure out what.
but I don't know, and someone out there might know this answer. Do people get paid Pell based on the exact number of hours, or is it within ranges? Because I thought there was a 600-hour range and then a 900-hour range. And this was the max amount you got was from the 900. But I don't know, within a calendar year. Oh, wait, never mind. Emily knows the answer.
So depending on your eligibility status, now they've changed this because it used to be estimated family contribution, they're no longer doing that, right? So when you're getting paid Pell, it's based on the type of program you're doing, so part-time, full-time, things like that, but also it's based on cost of attendance. So if you go to an institution that they recognize as having a cost of attendance, then that is factored into that number. So say I'm going to Meridian and I'm taking 600 hours and it's gonna cost me $5,000. Right. But the cost of attendance, because there's online portions, there's tech, there's books, things like that, the cost of attendance is really $7,000. So that's the cost of attendance, which they have already reported to financially. Right. The FABs already knows that. And so they're like, okay, well, you're taking the full-time program, the tuition is $5,000, the actual cost of attendance is $7,000. Okay. So then you get paid based on cost of attendance. Okay. So like, that's how like, and so like when you go to like a four-year institution, go to college, part of that cost of attendance is usually housing.
The fees and all that crap stuff, yeah.
So it's a little different when they look at programs like this because they're not housing people.
Right. But we do have included fees, but all of you have those things, right? I mean, everyone does that.
And
you put your books, you put your tuition, and then you have other stuff that you charge for, right?
And that's included, so like when the financial people send their reports, they have to, especially if they're doing things based on cost of attendance, the school already tells people.
Okay.
Like that's why we have nothing to do with that, because that's not us, that's a cost of attendance. We're worried about hours only.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's based on a range.
Okay.
So if I think Lee, can you hear me? Okay, so Lee, you're setting up 1,400 and some odd hours. If you were to go down to 1,200 a second, is that going to be killing you? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out where we're at there. I know you're rural, I'm rural too. I'm just trying to figure out where we're at there.
So yeah, looking at that, I don't really see an issue with trimming down our core curriculum, A&P, pharmacology, micro. I feel like that'd be pretty easy to standardize across the board. It's mostly to do with the practicum hours. Each program is going to have different clinical sites that are going to be busier, bigger, or a more number of programs. I don't know how AST works. In CCT, my students are able to test once they complete the program, and then they have 2 years to gather their cases. If they don't have them complete by then, they're 125. How does AST work in that way?
AST, you have to have the every requirement on the cases before you can even sit to take the exam.
And that's kind of the rub I'm looking at. We're going to be so far apart on AST versus NCCT. It's going to be difficult on the practicum side because the students are going to need to get their cases. Well, each program's going to have different, like I said, different clinical sites, different specialties. When I went through AST, you had to have so many specific cases. NCCT is just broke down by specialty, so a little easier for them to gather them. But again, I'd prefer to have my students complete their cases by the time they sit for cert prep, because I'm a 12-month contract. I'm resetting the machine immediately, and I'm not going to be keeping track of my previous year students when I'm trying to start a new batch.
So
through AST, actually, they can set for their test before they complete their cases. They just have to complete their cases within 6 months once they test.
And they won't get their
Or
results.
3 months. It's either 3 or 6, but they can test before they complete their cases, because we have them test and then they finish out their cases if they're not done by that time.
Okay, we don't allow that. They have to have their cases before they can sit.
That's the same for Metro Tech. I do the same thing where they have to have their cases before they can actually sit for the exam. It's due to the fact that I'm a one-teacher program. I can't chase people, okay, when I'm in, okay, teaching. I have no ability to do that being a one-teacher program. So we make it the same rule. You have to have your cases, okay, all done before we set for that exam.
They don't get to find out if they passed or not until they complete their cases.
So a question I have then, as far as courses and hours go. So say we had a set of courses, say, you know, Metro may be X, Y, and Z, right? And we said, okay, you know, 1185 was our number. And I know that the practical and clinical hours have to be different. So if we said, okay, you know, you cannot have below, instead of saying A and P has to be 80 hours, right? Instead of saying it cannot be less than 40 and no more than 100 gig range on each course, so that everyone will be at 1185. But if you know that your program needs to have more practical or clinical hours, maybe you're cutting down a little bit on, instead of doing the 80 hours of AP, you're doing the 40. And so you're taking that 40 and you're pushing it into your, like, so that you have that flexibility there, in that, so you know you still have your hours that you need for your clinical and you're still meeting the courses that we have and that you're teaching, if that flexibility is in maybe that way. So instead of saying you can't, you have to do this so many hours for this course, when you think, well, I can teach that in 50, right? And you're like, I know that I can do that. And then the extra hours I would have from that, I would put into my practicum. And I'm saying in the framework, not just saying, okay, we put in the framework this, and now we're figuring it out on the back end. Like, if that would make more sense to you to do it that way, does that make sense? Is that something that would maybe kind of calm that anxiety a little bit? I might have said that super confusingly. Does everybody understand what I mean by that?
I understand, but I guess.
No,
Are you wanting, so we're not just wanting overall total numbers, we're also wanting every course to be named the exact same thing.
Well, so we don't care what you name it in your,
Right, so say I
whatever
said,
your
say I
thing
call it
is.
A and P here, and I'm like, teach A and P, and then in your marketing, you call it skin and bones and stuff, do that, whatever. Right. In the computer, in this system, you're telling me you're teaching A and P. If you want to do a rebrand because you want to make it sound hip and cool and whatever, that's you. You are allowed to do that. Be as creative as you want with that. So, and it's not that we're like, every course has to be the same amount for everybody, because I do understand that if you're doing different, if you're going through different ACT, NCCT, that kind of thing, you're going to have different requirements.
Yeah, right.
And so it's more about getting as close to standard as possible. And with that understanding, giving you the flexibility to still do what you need to do, but while also making sure that we're still within federal requirements. So if I said, okay, here are the courses that we all agree that you need to teach. You cannot go below this number on this course, and you can't go above this one. Mix and match the numbers to make it out up to 1185 to make sure you have enough of what you're doing. Does that make sense? Okay. So,
So when we put into CTIMS though, when we put in the courses and the course hours into CTIMS, we are able to put our hours in. Like, we don't have to put A and P. We can put A and P at 130 hours. We don't have to put in A and P with whatever the state is saying A and P hours should be.
That is, right now, that is completely correct. You can say, we're not going to do but we haven't even seen what they're going to do as far as building it. So we're just telling you all, again, no one's going to come and look and make sure that you're actually teaching surgical techniques for 135 hours. Nobody's going to do it. So if you're really just teaching surgical techniques for 20 hours, whatever. I mean, you know what? If your accrediting bodies are fine with that and you're putting out students and they're passing, I mean, this is what the rest of the world does. They go, okay, we don't care. So, I mean, again, is it what we will probably have to come up with? We would probably have to come up with a number, because it doesn't, the framework right now, CTIMS doesn't allow us to do ranges. But what Emily's trying to say is to give you a visual of how you would be able to skew numbers on different courses to add to those areas, Lee, where you need more practicum and maybe not as much time doing this. I mean,
for those of us who are accredited, we just need to make sure that we are meeting our accreditation requirements.
Mm-hmm. And Lacey also asked the question about course names and so on. Again, we're going to have to put something in. We're going to have to put basically a standardized course. If you, we'll read you the course names in just a second that are out there, or you maybe all have access to them on the website right now either. I don't know if they have this or not. But what I was going to say is, we're going to have something posted. We don't know how you transcript that at your school. We don't know if you call it something different. We don't have any idea how you do it right now. And we never check it against what you entered into the framework. We just don't. I mean, who has time for that, right? None of us. So, yeah, so honestly, if we can, it's kind of one of those things, you're like, okay, well, that's why I said at summer conference, you're doing this for me. So just think about that as you're doing, what we're doing is just for us. You all will still be able to have flexibility. You just need to understand that this is what we're putting in and this is what that means to you and your students. Do you think?
I have a quick question
Sure.
about moving hours from like from A&P. Say I have 130 hours in A&P. I only want to do 60 hours. I feel like I can get everything done there. I take that to my practicum. Do I still have to have a percentage of practicum versus classroom hours? Like I said, I'm still super green in this.
That's a great question, actually. And your practicum, that is a 50%, 49% rule, that it cannot be, you cannot spend more time in clinicals than you can in the classroom. It has to, at the very least, be 49%, 51%. Does that make sense? When you cross that line, then you're in trouble. So yeah, you do need to double check and make sure. Now, no one is saying your practicum may actually include lab hours that you might be able to switch to something that, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's nobody's looking.
That's the point.
Nobody's looking. That's really not good to say. I can tell. Andrea, are you typing letters to my boss right now?
Absolutely not. I'm trying to figure out how to play the game. I'm listening and taking notes on how to play the game with Laura Morris. So
thank you. Remember, this is how we've known each other longer than either one of us has known her, okay? Sorry. Previous life. So what other questions do you have, or do you want to go through and like maybe take some votes, or just talk a little bit about the end number, and then let us tell you what classes or courses that we have and what our course numbers are right now, and then you guys can help guide us if we're all thinking that was way too many hours for that or way too few. We can go ahead and change it in our framework too, where it's more reflective of what you guys are actually doing.
I don't have access to what the numbers are as like the example numbers that go in. I don't have access to that as they were for this year, but I do have averages. I can tell you that, there are some that are sitting at 11.85. I can tell you what the practicums kind of look like. That's kind of the other reason. So like when I mentioned having like the syllabi or your program plan of study, in part of this discussion is that sending that to me, so that I can look at them all, and kind of group them together, is really important. That's why on like the calendar and everything, all these dates, and reviewing information and combining notes and all that kind of stuff. And so I can look at all of the plan study and syllabi and say, okay, this is what you guys are doing. This is what it looks like for your school in your school, and because this is what it looks like for framework and what I do and don't have access to. So part of that is when we come up with these numbers, like Laura said, nobody's looking and things like that. But it's like talking about what do we feel strongly about, like, this needs to be represented in this way, is more so what it's looking for. And I know it'll be different because you have different tests that you're following and things like that. So on the website is my email. You also have been getting emails from me. You can just reply and send those to me. Please send those to me by the middle of October. It is the beginning of September, so I think we should be able to do that. If you will send me, syllabi, if you want to send me, information on your accreditation, like if you're like, we follow this many hours because we're accredited by these people, if you want to send me that, if you want to send me just information and feedback, I would really appreciate that. October is going to be spent with me, combing through all the information for all of our programs and figuring out what we can do to make this the best for everybody. That's why I do also have a deadline. If you send it to me after October 16th, I'm so sorry, I will not look at it because I have so many that I'm going to be looking at. October 16th is the magic day. So do we want to sort through and go course by course and say how many specific hours we feel strongly about, or are there specific courses that you're like, I feel strongly about just these specifically?
I have a quick question. How many of the 1185s have the exact same courses?
They have the same courses, but their course hours are different.
Okay. So, and that's kind of what, and I think, okay, so let's figure out our base number, the lowest any of us will agree to go. I think we need to do that before we can even talk about courses.
So I heard a lot of 1185, a lot of 1200. How do we feel about?
Oh, by the way, silence implies acceptance. I forgot to mention that's a rule.
You can put it in the chat.
Which is why I'm never silent.
I didn't hear Emily's question. What was your question?
So
Emily?
A lot about 1185 and 1200 as numbers. How do we feel about? I mean, for me, it sounds like 1200 is the one that everyone's comfortable either stretching to 1200 or trimming down to 1200. How do we feel about that? And go.
We like 1200. More, Norman.
I'm fine with that. We're at 1230. I would not want to go lower than 1185 at all. 1200 is good with me.
I think I like 1185.
I'm at 1200 now.
I know, I'm at 1200 now. Okay. So do you think you could make 1200 work? If you prefer 1185 or you're sitting at 1185, do you think you could make 1200 work? Like feasibly?
If they're looking at calendar days, no.
Okay.
Because, we've moved to, and I don't know if anybody else has, but we get a week off at fall break. We get a week off at Thanksgiving break. We get 2 weeks at Christmas. And then we get another week at spring break, plus all of those those Monday holidays. Then do we count inclement weather days? Are those just washed? I mean, or do we count their hours for that?
What do you do now?
We do the same.
We don't count their hours.
On our 1230 hours, we have the exact same calendar. So we have fall break off, a week at Thanksgiving, 2 weeks at Christmas, a week at spring break, and then all of those Memorial Day, Labor Day, President's Day, those things. And we get the 1230 hours in that exact calendar.
What are your hours?
1230.
What are your daily hours?
We start at 07:45 and go to 14:45.
Okay.
So it's 6 hours a day. And then our clinical is 8 hours a day.
Okay.
Who among us wants to go back to work at one of these technology centers? Todd and I.
You want that fall break?
We want breaks. We would love, those of us who work 12 months at the agency, we're so jealous.
Well, those of us who are directors of our programs are 12-month contracts. So we don't get breaks either, Laura.
Okay.
So we're with you.
Woo. So I can call you when I'm sad.
Yes.
Okay, it's a deal. So that was the discussion. So Liv, are you thinking that 1200 is too much?
No, I'm thinking 1200 is not enough.
Lee thinks 1200 is not enough. Liv thinks, she's kind of nodding. Wait, yeah, sorry, that thing. Matt, whatever.
Sorry, I can meet at 12.
You could do 12, okay?
Didn't does Autry, Lee, don't y'all have the most hours? What y'all's at like?
Yeah, I'm at 1481, but like I spoke about earlier, I was having students doing counting cases their last 2 days at clinicals last year. I said 2 clinical sites, Northwest Oklahoma. It's not super busy, especially not busy last year. Like I said, it's just that 50% between clinicals and classroom hours. I can definitely trim down. It's just, again, getting those cases, getting them in, resetting the machine. I said 11-month program. I got about 2 weeks, and now I'm starting over. I can't keep track of my previous students' cases while I'm starting a new cohort.
I agree with you totally on that, Lee. I'm in the same situation, and I was counting cases down to the last 48 hours. I mean, there's no doubt about it. No.
So Lee, tell me this, if you have, do you have prerequisites to your class?
No, ma'am, no prereqs.
Would that help your hours?
It would potentially help my hours, but I feel it would be catastrophic in the application pool.
It was, say it again, I'm sorry.
I said, I feel like it would be catastrophic to my application pool. I'm taking kids right out of high school.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Wes Watkins could get to 1,200 hours. We would be good with 1,200.
Canadian Valley, I'm speaking for everybody, but we'd love to have a couple hundred more hours because we went from 1356 to 1050, and I don't know how we're cutting those hours out. So
Pam, as the representative from administration for Canadian Valley, do you agree with Chanda?
I'm gonna go with what they say on this one because, I mean, it sounds reasonable. If you were 13 plus, now you're 10, it seems like somewhere in the middle lands about 1,200. So if they're good with that, I'm good with that.
So Lee, are your students going to work to finish out those clinicals? Are they working actually?
No, it's built into my curriculum.
Do you think, hey, Andrea, do you think that we could take some of Lee's, his needed clinical hours and do something like she just brought up a great point, using work-based education?
I think we would need to look at how this affects financial aid, because the high percentage of students we have in surgical tech are on financial aid. And so we would want to be able to look at that aspect. Who's the gentleman in the blue in the room with you, Laura?
Todd Pro, he's from Central Tech.
Central Tech.
Yeah, Drumright. So he hears you about small
I
facilities.
hear you all day long about it. I know what you're saying.
And so, and with Todd, with you being at 1,200, I'm going to encourage Lee and probably myself to reach out to you on a sidebar on looking at your framework and how you make that work. So.
Right. I will say this, okay, and this is what's very difficult, because I really, even Lee's predecessor, I talked to her quite a bit over the years. So the problem that we run into, okay, and I know that you're using clinical sites in Enid, is that correct? All right.
Correct. I do have Stillwater, but they don't have housing, and I don't make it mandatory for my students.
And I'm with you, Lee. We even talked about that before, about that situation. So the problem that even with me, Lee, I'm having to go long distances, okay, and that's not great. I want to repeat, it is not great on students, but I'm literally having to go, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, okay, I'm in Stillwater, Oklahoma, I am in Palm City, for God's sake, and I dropped Muskogee, thank goodness, because I had to have a little bit of a life, getting home at 7:30 and 8 o'clock at night, literally. So I'm with you, okay, on where you're at with that. But that is really the difference of why I'm able to do 1,200. Okay, if I was just staying around where I'm at, good God, no, it would never work. It's just it isn't. It's just like you said, last year was slow. It was, okay. You have some years that are better than others, but I could not stay just in the area that I'm at and make it work. It's always been the thing that's been a real push, and it'll always continue to be. And what it ends up, Lee, it's very hard on the students. I'm not going to lie about it. It's so hard on the students that Career Tech has a foundation where they're giving my students $800 checks, okay, for fuel, okay? Not through Career Tech itself, but through the foundation. Wow. That's how bad it is. So, I do follow exactly what you're saying, okay, with that. It is a real push for students. If you're talking about students from where I'm at, okay, and you're going to be in Ponca City, you are getting up at 4 a.m. And there's just no way around it, okay, to get to where you need to be at, all right, to make that happen. Very difficult, but it's been going on for 23 years, okay, the same way. But that is how I make mine work. I do see what you're talking about being in Enid, okay, and having that situation, but I'm not sure how it would work that we could accommodate what you're talking about unless you stretch outward, okay, to clinical sites, which are highly valuable, by the way. I mean, I understand that, okay, there's always a situation that we all run into, all right, when it comes to clinicals. I mean, they're like sacred ground, but that's how I do it. So I don't want you to think that I'm doing it, okay, in my rural area right there, impossible to do, impossible.
Yeah,
So Todd,
and I agree 100%. I am not opposed to sending students. I myself, I did clinicals in Ponca City when I went through the program. I'm just, my program, I'll be a little late to the table going out there and finding clinical affiliations and clinical spots for my students. Am I not competing with every person in this meeting for clinical spots?
You certainly are, Lee. I mean, and I'm with you, okay? I mean, the only place that I go, the only place that I even go, and I made that years ago at Tulsa Tech, the other place that I go is Oklahoma State University Medical Center. Okay, I made that deal, okay, years ago, and I stay out, okay, of the rest of them. So, and I prefer they stay out of there. But I would just say, but it is what it is. You're 100% right, Lee. It's tough. I mean, it is really tough, and you are competing, okay, for that. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, Lee. If you start sending a bunch of people to Stillwater, okay, is it going to kill me all day long and twice on Sunday? Okay, so I'm with you. I do understand, okay, where it's at. We do have issues. It's the same way that it would be with the other one, West Watkins. Okay, definitely falls into that category. All right, with that. Yeah, we're out there kind of in a little bit of nowhere, close to somewhere. So, that I get it. I just wanted you to understand how I did it, okay? Because I don't want you to think I'm working some sort of magical miracle here, right? It's a lot of travel. It got so crazy that I had a 362-mile radius at one time for clinicals, okay? Just because, okay, trying to be able to meet it. I gave up the VA hospital of Muskogee, and it was painful because I pulled, all right, some mighty good cases out of there. Going through their system was about a nightmare, but getting the cases, okay, was there. It just got to the point, okay, when I'm driving, okay, 3 hours, okay, to one location, to even, you get to a point where there isn't anywhere in the world you can keep an eye on somebody, okay, when it comes to that. You are literally working off of phones. You certainly, okay, are not seeing your students on the regular. So that's it in a nutshell. So
Yeah, like I said, yeah, I completely understand. Sacrifices would have to be made. It's just finding the clinical sites. Like I said, I don't want to steal any sites. I don't want to compete against any other programs. I want everyone to have the same opportunities. Are you sending students to Ponca City, Todd?
Yes, I am.
I only have one slot at Stillwater. So they said it'd be like if both of us tried to send to Ponca City, we would have to work through some negotiation there. I don't know how busy they are. I said I want to get along. I don't want to compete against them.
That I go to Ponca, okay, it's not the volume of cases by any means. Okay, it's that when you have places where they're hell on wheels, everybody wants to go to Disneyland every once in a while, and they are nice people. Okay, at Ponca, they're extremely easy to work with. They're very student friendly. I'm certainly not going to tell you that I get that everywhere. we'll talk later about some of that, but, you know, it just is what it is, you know, I mean, yes, you certainly, Lee, I worked with your predecessor before, okay, so there have been times where I worked, okay, with that situation, all right, in Stillwater, still willing to, you know, we talked about that, you know, earlier, would that be okay? That's fine with me. You know, we can work some of that out, all right, I don't know how much, okay, before we both get affected, you know, in that situation.
Completely
So,
understand, completely understand.
So that takes us back to 12. Can you do it? If you can figure out a way to do it, Lee, I think you're our outlier.
Well, I'm not gonna hold up progress.
No,
Well,
I understand. We all understand. I mean, it's tough.
you know, one thing I could say, Lee, and this is a situation where we could be looking at, is if we were to offset somewhat some of our clinical time. You understand what I'm saying? That we'd have to construct that to where, because I could walk you into Stillwater completely. I've got the Stillwater Surgery Center. Every tech there, basically except for one, is a former student. I mean, I can work, okay, in that, but we'd almost have to work like I'm finishing clinicals and you're coming into clinical type thing. You know, that we'd have to work in that conjunction. Right, to be able to make that happen. Of course, you understand that is construing a lot of things. You know, you're changing, you know, when you do things and when I do things, that sort of thing. So, but listen, I understand the one teacher program, your chief model washer also, I get it. But that would be the way that I know that it could work to where we wouldn't be hurting each other. You know,
and that's the end game. I said I want everyone to be happy. I want my students to have just as much opportunities as every other program in the state. And I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to step in anybody's kitchen. But I said if everyone's willing to work around these very select few clinical slots that are available in these little rural hospitals, I'm game for it. Like I said, I don't want to hold up progress, and I'll make sacrifices just like everyone else in this meeting is going to do as well.
Then I think 1200 is where we're going to put the hours. And again, nothing is final until we put it in the thing, into the framework. But so if you are just scared to talk in front of people, you're scared, then you can just call Emily, not Laura. No, you can call and ask either one of us, or let us know what your concerns are. It's actually probably even better in writing, because then we won't forget everything that was said. Yeah, her brain's much better than mine, but she drinks a lot more Monster during the day than I do. So you are. So will you read the courses that are out there? It's 2:35, and I'm wanting to be cognizant of your time. But if you would read the courses that we have in the framework and what our hours are, and then if you guys can kind of give us an idea of, whoa, that is way off base, then we'd love to go and fix it.
So we have definitely more than, I know our numbers at 1185, but the courses that we have are definitely way more than 1185 because we have all possible courses that could go under Surge Tech.
Okay.
So if any of these are like, we don't do that, or you're like, well, we combine those two, those are the same thing, let me know. I'm gonna highlight it here. And like I said, if you're, you don't want to speak about the Saturday thing, please send it to me. Also in writing, I'm big about numbers, and I said this way too many times during your teacher lectures, cite your sources, tell me why you're doing something, tell me exactly where you found it, why you're doing it, because I also want to make it fair. I'm gonna do all the numbers. So some of these numbers, you see that the bulk of everybody's agreeing with it, but you're not exactly sure why. You have a different opinion, send it to me and tell me why, and I will absolutely consider it. I want everybody to feel like they're being heard. I may not be able to make the decision that you would like, but I would still very much like that input, also to keep in the back of my mind. So that being said, we have just regular anatomy sitting at 60 hours. We also have anatomy and physiology later on at 120. So gonna be anatomy and physiology go together for everybody. Yes, we're doing them together. Yes.
Does everyone teach A&P or have it as part of your prereqs? You can just nod.
Yes.
Metro Tech teaches and it's 120. Is that what you said, Emily?
Hi, yes.
For anatomy and physiology, it is 120.
Okay, just curious, thanks.
Okay, so that's good. Highlight this again. We have core med term at 45 hours.
Do y'all teach med term?
Yeah.
Okay.
About 45 hours, is that where we have that?
That's what we have that standard across all of the careers. So, you know, if it's not right, we can change that, but it'll change for everybody.
Okay.
We all know we some put together and just use longer hours for anything. It's okay. That's how it should be taught. We know.
So we have a whole bunch of things called Search Tech Practicum, but with a whole bunch of different numbers, and some of them are the same.
Do you have different practicums like level 1, level 2, level 3?
Yes, and then we also have level 1, but then we have them in Roman numerals with lowercase i's, and then all uppercase, and then all lowercase.
Okay.
So I think some of them are the same.
Okay, sounds good.
So practical level 1 down here, it says I have 240 hours for level 1. For level
Practical 1?
Yeah, that's I have two. I don't think that that's.
We even dropped ours to 24.
That's how much?
You have 24 for level 1.
24 is
Okay.
observation.
Okay, these two have 24. You can put in the thing if you want more for Search Tech Practicum 1. If there you have heartburn, or tell us, you know, for whatever reason, if yours needs to be 1,000 hours.
Did you say 24 hours for practicum 1?
That is what they said.
That is our observation.
That's what I do, same way. I use it for observation.
Metro Tech is 30 for practicum 1, and then 2 and 3 is 240 each.
My practicum 1 is 30 hours, and that's when they do central sterile.
Okay. You guys do central sterile with,
Yes.
I mean, you.
I do, I put it in, I do 2 weeks for a lot of my students.
Okay.
But they're gonna rotate through, it's in a surgical team, practical 2, actually. I think they're going down with their.
So it may not be part of one, but it could be, everyone can put it somewhere different, but, so do you all have 3 practicums?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes it easy. 1, 2,
Not this year. Ours has, for some reason, we've gotten rid of practicum 3. We only have practicum 1 and practicum 2 now. We have
well, that's where your 240 hours went.
210, 200 is what we have now.
Okay.
I went, my practicum 1 is only 30, and that's when we do observation and checkoffs.
Okay.
So I have 30 for practicum 1, between 24
and 30.
And then for practicum 2 and 3, I have lowest 200, highest 240. That's out. So that's those.
So did Lee, oh, you're still here, good. Lee, what are your numbers for, I thought maybe you got mad and left. You're off the top of the thing. So what are your practicum 2 and 3?
Practicum 2 and 3, practicum 2 is 280, practicum 3 is 344.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha, thank you. So we have a range from basically 200 to 344 for 3, and 210 to 280 for practicum 2, correct? Okay, not hearing any screaming. What are some of the other, I know that they have procedures, I know they have.
Yeah, so we have aseptic technique and skills. I have it at 120. Do you guys have that specifically, or is it combined with something else?
Can you repeat that?
It's aseptic technique and skills. I have it at 120 hours.
I think we have our aseptic, I think is included as part of our practicum 1. So
But-
our practice one is higher.
What was your practicum one?
We have our practicum one at 173 hours, but I think it's because, I mean, it's all of our skills and the skills checkoffs, but it's also some of the aseptic and instrumentation and that what stuff.
Okay.
I've had 120 to aseptic skills.
I'm sitting at 60 for aseptic technique.
Yeah, if you're talking about essentials of aseptic
Surgical.
technique, yeah, mine is 60 as well.
Because we also have down here something called Essentials of Surgical Asepsis and then Essentials of Surgical Asepsis / Skills.
Yeah,
Which I think those are all the same thing.
Yeah.
like when you combine them, that's where ours is up to like.
Yours 120 because you're doing that and skills. So,
Yeah.
like so.
And again, however you all want to combine these things is fine. So you taking that practicum one that we might have 30 hours and the aseptic technique and skills at like 120, let's just say, then that's, 150 hours, great. Maybe you combined those two courses and we don't care how you do that.
So I have the basic sciences for surgical technology 1, 2, and 3, and they're all 120 hours. Independent.
Oh, there was a lot of stop right there. What are those basic
Well, that
sciences?
should be,
Tell us
that
what
should be
that is.
going, I don't know but I call mine going into the basic sciences. That's gonna be anatomy, physiology, touching on some microbiology. And I even think that I've got one that's probably midterm 1, 2 thrown into that program. I probably put it in.
So you may use basic science instead of having A&P and midterm.
Well, it's called, it is A&P, but it's listed. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Does anyone else do anything different with basic sciences, or does anyone not have that course?
I do not have basic sciences.
Okay.
Metro Tech does not either. We have
Yeah.
pharmacology at 30, microbiology at 30, and then our A&P 120 and midterm is 45.
And that's
West Watkins is the same as Cindy's.
Okay, so it sounds
So
like
is Great Plains. I'm the same as Cindy.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So you said micros around 30, A&P was 120, midterm was 45. What was there one other one?
Pharmacology
Pharm.
is 30.
Was how much?
30.
30. Thank you. Awesome.
Okay. Yeah. We have disaster and emergency preparedness at 120 hours.
Ours is built into.
Metro Tech is 15.
Same. 15.
West Watkins has 15.
Is that something that's required?
For accreditation, yes.
And it's called disaster and what? Emergency preparedness.
Yes, emergency and disaster preparedness.
And what are
We
the?
have ours at 15 hours at Autry.
Is that required accreditation through AST, Disaster and Emergency Preparedness?
Yes.
What? Disaster.
Disaster. Exactly. Disaster and emergency preparedness. We have 15 hours. What's the most that you all have out there? I think someone typed the wrong number.
Well, we had 3 of them. They were all 120.
Oh.
One had the ampersand, and one had
Okay.
and as the word, and one said slash.
Okay.
So we have lots of.
So how many hours? I've got 15. Anyone else have something more than that? Okay, great.
We have
I
certification.
thought people were saying they had 120 hours on that.
Oh, that's what it is in the framework.
That's what it is in the.
So I'm just wondering if maybe someone accidentally put the wrong number in when they were putting that through. And that may be, yeah, anyway, okay. So cert prep,
I have 120 hours. Or what?
certification prep. We get 30. 30, some do 120.
Ours
Thought-
is 15.
Yours is 15.
Does everybody do certification prep, like as a specified like course?
I don't specify it as a course, of course we do it.
Yeah.
It's just something that's embedded in it.
So
West-
Rihanna,
West Watkins, we do core employability skills. And so they create a resume and we do a study session then, and it's for 30 hours.
Metro Tech is the same.
We
That
have
was
ours
Great
built,
Plains. Sorry, Julie, go ahead.
we have ours built in with our surgical techniques 3.
Yeah, the one underneath that was the core employability skills, so I'm assuming those two are interchangeable.
and, okay.
Um,
Now you just mentioned one that we haven't talked about yet, surgical techniques.
which is data.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Sorry,
No,
I was
you're
getting excited. I was like, because I thought we were already to the bottom. I was like, woo, check us out.
I went back and sorted it alphabetically because we have some fun duplicates.
Yay. Okay.
Exam review, 120,
Yeah, so we've got from 15 to 120 hours in that area.
right? Because this one is specified as an independent class for exam review.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody do that?
You mean like like they could go to it at a different time?
It's separated out.
Oh, it's separated out. Okay. Okay. She was just wondering if it was exam review is, some of it's integrated, some of you have a separate class that says a certain number, right? Okay. Liv, did we get what you were trying to say about the cert prep and employability?
My employability is the same as Cindy's. And then my prep is kind of almost 84 hours, but it's almost, some of it is structured, some of it's not, but I do 84 hours of exam review.
Okay.
Introduction to surgical technology at 30 hours.
Correct for Metro Tech.
CV Tech's at 75. Our disaster preparedness now is in that course. So that's 15 hours of that. It's not separate.
What was the what class were we talking about? What course?
Intro.
I'm at 30.
You had one for 30?
I'm at 30 as well.
Does everyone do an intro of some sort?
Yes, for Metro
We do.
Tech.
We include ours in ST1. We don't have ours broken down as much as that everybody else does.
Okay. And go ahead. I was just gonna say, is ST1, that's the techniques, it's not the practicum, correct? Okay.
We have something called master student.
That's, I promise that's Metro Tech. They do it for all of theirs. And
That-
there's skills.
Yeah, sorry. It's called ALS, Academic Life Skills. When I adopted this program, apparently it had not been changed for you guys previously. So that's called ALS and it's 15 hours.
Because we have it at 120. Okay, so I have med term at 120, like independently.
No, we had most everyone said 45.
Yeah, so like there's several repeats here, but somebody put it in at 120.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
It sounds like. So I have an orientation to Surge Tech, which is it different than intro to Surge Tech?
Not really. And we're gonna be changing that, so
Okay.
I'm gonna go right after this, what they're doing. I'm looking at hers. Mine was always modeled
Of Tulsa.
off Tulsa, and they've changed some things, but I did look at it, and I totally agree that we may change some things.
We kind of wanted to not have such small courses.
Yeah.
Where it's like you
So-
fail in 1 week and like kind of extend it out
That's
a little
true.
bit and make it a little bit bulkier. So.
Yeah. So when you screw up, you got more chances.
Yeah.
I like that.
Have supplies, equipment and skills at, shocker, 120.
I think for Metro Tech, that's surgical case management and ours is 120.
Does everyone have a course called surgical case management? Oh, good, because I like that way better than what that was talking.
We do not now. I think that's all combined in this principles and practices of surgical technology. I think our surgical case management, our micro, our asepsis, that's all in that, and that's 250 hours.
Okay, so if you added the micro for 30 and that they had in the other things, I could see where they that. But most of you surgical case management, 120, more, less? More? Okay, 120.
Okay, I have surgical patient care and surgical patient care / skills. So I have those two. One's at 45 and one's at 120.
Who all has a class that's called surgical patient skills, or do you combine it with something else? Some of you do.
Metro Tech is surgical patient care at 45 hours, and that includes classroom and skills.
Ours is combined with part of our ST too.
Mine is just like Cindy's.
Mine's like Cindy's as well.
Ours is combined probably in surgical technique skills lab maybe, and in principles and practices. I'm not quite sure.
How much did we say for oncology?
They had 30.
30.
Somewhere around there.
Okay, surgical procedures, I have 1 and 2, and I have it at 90 and 75.
That is correct for Metro Tech.
We have 93 and 90.
West Watkins is the same.
Great Plains is the same.
Okay.
Accreditation required us to start doing in the minimally invasive robotics, which added more hours to our procedures 1. That's what we did.
Okay, so we have procedures 1 and 2, and what was I only got 93 and 90. What's the other hours that people have?
So we have the 90 and 75.
Okay, 90 and 75.
So I have surgical techniques 1, 2, and 3, and they're all at 120.
You don't know what that
Because
is?
I have practicum level 1, 2, and 3, techniques 1, 2, and 3, and then tech practicum again at 1, 2, and 3, but it's labeled different. It's not level 1, 2, and 3, it's just 1, 2, 3. And then I have surg tech techniques and practicum orientation. So I think that we're calling the same thing quite different names. So, does anybody have surgical techniques, or is that all in your practicum? All in your, like, embedded?
I think I need to know exactly what like objectives are
Right.
on that
Right.
to
So,
know for sure.
because we need to almost look, you gotta know what book, okay, well, there's books that are out there for all these types of things, and they incorporate a whole huge amount of stuff, so I don't know, what that is, what.
I think what it's supposed to be is your practicum. It's just called something else. And that's the other reason I want everyone to send me their syllabi and everything, so I can see what you guys are calling different things, because some of these are going to be the same thing, they're just under different names, and if somebody else has put in a custom course and called it that, it probably got thrown into that before.
Oh, yeah.
So it could also just very well be that somebody called it that one time, and the system just held on to it forever. Okay, so I think that's all of the courses then, because I think the rest are all.
So so intro, surgical case management, we have patient care, we have procedures 1 and 2, we have practicum 1, 2, and 3, A&P, med term, aseptic technique and skills, and where the basic sciences is, there's multiple things that have been put in that area. And then I just need to understand, so do you want courses out there that are called surgical techniques? Or because we already have procedures and practicum, do you have enough time? Has that, yeah.
So we don't have all of ours broken down the same way that most of the other programs do. All of that, if you look at our syllabi, is put into surgical techniques 1, 2, and 3. And you'll see that when I send my syllabi to you.
Okay. Gotcha.
So does anybody have any concerns, or is anybody worried about anything in this process? Like, are you worried about something specifically besides, I mean, obviously clinical sites are a thing that we have no control over. But like, anybody have any, like, I just need to make sure you guys know this right now?
She's just asking for a last call. Does anyone have anything that's burning a hole in your stomach right now? Oh, Lee, I'm sorry. I know. Okay, all my people that are not the surge tech instructors, it would be helpful if you could give us some feedback. You know, we're starting to do, we will start, health starts not next week, yeah, next Friday, we do another couple. And then we're doing stuff for the next month. Is there anything that you're going to pick up the phone and call my boss about that you're upset with me that you can't tell me right now? Because I would love to know if there's something that is hinky about this process. This was our first one, and we're trying hard to hear everyone and make it fair and do what we can. So anyway, anyone have any issues?
Well, I'll go ahead and speak up, Laura, because you know I will.
Yeah.
And it's probably because I've been in the system long enough. It's probably time for Andrea Long to retire.
No, it's not.
But the problem that I'm seeing is that how in the world are we going to land on the same number for every program across the state when our demographics and our industry area and all those that are driving our programs, that's why we have advisory committees. How in the world are we supposed to look the same as what a Metro Tech, a Southwestern, Southeastern, the same way with them? We're all unique in our demographics and what our industry is asking us to do to prepare the workforce that they're hiring. How in the world am I supposed to land on the same number that everybody else is landing on? That's where I'm at, Laura. I'm struggling to think as I'm processing all the programs that I'm getting ready to set in on. Thank God we started with Surge Tech because it's a small number. And
I have to tell you, health, we're really lucky in health. You all don't know this, but you all are, as far as the groups go, they're very cohesive and they have pretty close to the same things. Honestly. So I feel like, well, but yeah, we addressed all these concerns, trust me.
Okay.
I can tell you that business and IT, which is the world you came from, he's got everything at 480 or 960 hours.
And we're all over the board across the state in every program, teaching lots of different things. And I'm getting ready to see an influx of retirement. I can promise you that's what's getting ready to happen. And I'm sitting here thinking, how in the world am I going to replace these veteran teachers that are incredible, but yet here we are pushing them out because they're going to have to somehow function in a box.
But they're not. But they're really not. We may have to figure out a different way to do it. But I'm talking about it's only the financial aid that's really going to, everything else, it's just like it always has been. Come on, people, Gold Star Schools, y'all know it's a dang joke, right? Y'all know it's a joke that we all do whatever we want. however we wanted to do it all along, and the agency doesn't know. We know. I mean, we know that everyone's different. We know we don't all fit. We know that, and there's nothing we can, we can't make everyone alike. We don't want to make everyone alike, but this third party thing out here is holding over our heads just to give them a number. I'm still saying to you all, and this is what I would tell your teachers, Andrea, don't resign. We're just going to keep doing what we've been doing all along. This is just a number in an arbitrary accounting system. Honest to God. I mean, that's how I feel about it, because I have been here a long time, and I do know that it doesn't really matter in the long run, right?
Got it. I hope the other divisions, that we have, have that philosophy and that viewpoint. While I'm thankful that our health division has that, we have other divisions too, so.
I know, and I will bring this up on Monday. We have a staff meeting, and I will bring it up with the other managers, tell them how today went, share the concerns that administration has already, and tell them exactly what I told you about. We just have to do what we have to do, and nobody's looking over your shoulder. So that's why I'm going. That's how I can live with myself over this.
I will say that, Andrea, that's the same thing that LaDonna here was worried about. She said she's on one of these steering committees. Her thing was the same thing about rural, okay, Oklahoma versus city. Okay, so she had the same concerns, which is what I shared. I totally understand where you're coming from. It's you feel like you're being pigeonholed and put into one thing. And that was her main concern that I talked to her this morning about, was make sure you understand to let them know your rule, okay, that you're not. And so I do understand that. I mean, I'm totally with you. That's the same concerns that, that she has, which is the one that makes all those decisions there.
Yeah, I just can't, but all I know is, we've been tasked with one thing, and so we're here trying to get that information. When I talked to two of the division heads, and the only other one that's going to be doing this, because STEM is all pretty much flat 120 hours, they don't really do anyway. I talked to Mike, T&I is Family Consumer Science, and I can promise you that she's not going to want to rock the world any more than anyone else does. So I really think that, like I said, we're being tasked for a certain thing, but this is how I'm looking at it, and I think we can make it work for everyone.
Well, because I mean, here's the other thing that I would like to communicate from the other person having to do this. Involved. We trust what you're doing.
Right.
You guys are healthcare professionals who are teaching the next round of healthcare professionals. You're using clinical judgment. Like, I have worked in healthcare. There are times that you have to do things that are maybe a little unorthodox. You have to pivot, you have to change. Specifically during the pandemic, we were wearing trash bags for gowns, right? You just have to figure it out, and you know what you're doing, you know what you're teaching. And so we have to report this. This is what we have to put down. This is on paper. We have to say this is what we're doing. But even in healthcare, there are those times where you're like, hey, this is what I say that I'm doing, but in the end, you're going to do what's best, right? So we trust you to teach. We trust you to do the things. We're not going to hover over you. And this is I'm writing down all the things. We have to report this to the, financial aid, but this doesn't really change things on your teacher's level. There's still the healthcare professionals, the educators that we know and trust and are going to do a great job of training these people. And healthcare is unpredictable. And this is just one of those unpredictable things. You just have to give us the number we can put down, and then we move forward. This shouldn't be an earth-shattering thing. This is just a number.
Anyone else have any comments?
Me. So, okay. So if we say 1,200.
Yes.
And if our program does not teach A&P, so at 1,200, then we minus 120 hours. And if we don't teach the midterm, we minus another 45 hours. Is that what you're?
That would be correct. That's what you would get financial aid for. Yes.
So then that would only put us at 1035.
Which doesn't make any difference, because you still agree that they have to have A&P and midterm.
So those hours
have that when they come into your class, right?
Chanda,
Yes.
that those hours, the 165 hours should count for advanced credit.
Right.
So since you are requiring that to come into your program, then they would receive that advanced credit. So that 165 hours would still apply to your overall program hours. Does that make sense? So for my program, if I have students who come in with A&P and or midterm, they have that advanced credit. So they're still meeting my 1,230 hours. They're just not having to sit those days that I teach that course.
So we're at 1050 and that does not include A&P and midterm right now. So now we will even have less hours.
Nope.
Well, what you're gonna put down is that you do 1,200 hours.
Chanda, so you're saying the 1050 already includes A&P and midterm?
No, it does not.
Okay, so it's 1050 plus the 165 is what we're
Correct.
really at. Because
Yes.
it includes those hours.
But then if we minus, if 1,200
We're
we
going to-
minus that 165, then that would only give us 1035 to teach the core, the surge tech part. And that's 15 hours less than the 1050 that we have right now.
I think you guys, this is what I'm gonna recommend, Chanda, is that you guys, maybe have a little Surge Tech meeting, where just at your next staff meeting, where maybe both campuses talk. And, if Pam wants to sit in and you want to invite us, just sometime let's all sit down and talk that through, because I really think that you're going to end up, because you don't count the 1050 or 10 whatever, you don't count the extra 165 hours. I think that it's going to add 165 hours to what you're doing right now.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah, I really do. But
I'm thinking is we have to take that 100.
No, so if you'd like to sit down and kind of work through it on paper, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, so right now we are at 1215. If you count your 1050 plus your 165, right now your hours are, our hours are 1215.
Right.
So you're basically only having to shave off 15 hours.
You're right there, because the 1,200 that we are all agreeing on is including that 165.
Right. So you're good, sister. No worries. Your life's getting ready to be easy. Ha ha ha. Anyone else have anything? My other people, Carrie, are you gonna get me in trouble, Carrie? Oh, Rachel, you're trying to talk. Go ahead, Rachel.
That's okay. I'm not sure if this is the right moment to ask this question, but obviously there's going to be other programs, not just Surge Tech, that I think about some of the others. So 480 is where we need to begin working on these things, correct?
No,
Like 480 and 960?
No, ma'am. I'm just saying that's what Mark is doing.
Okay, so that's
business and IT but remember, it's because every one of their programs is also taught in a high school. So
Mhm.
they have to do everything on a Carnegie unit. So
Mhm.
his is real easy. And most of our schools came back to us this year saying, we're not really teaching 525, we're really teaching 480.
Mhm.
Because there isn't, if you sat down and logged out the hours, there's really not 525 hours when you start counting breaks and what do you call those things where people come, assemblies and all that kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff. So I'm saying that right now, he just said, see, he doesn't have all these, he has nobody that's run by a third party. We have all these assessments that these national certifications, that's what we're basing all of our hours on in health. So it's just different when it comes to them. Now, I didn't say that to freak you out. I just said that because I know most of his are looking like that based on the same information that Emily shared, where all of you, there was 5 out of all of you that were 1185. So.
I want to ask one question.
Yes.
Is there anybody that is just basically that is not doing CCT at all. I know the rule's gonna be changing with Scholar Tech. Anybody that just is strictly gonna be going
AST.
AST. Is everybody dual, or is there programs that are just strictly straight across the board AST?
Well,
We're
in
dual.
order to only,
Okay, Julie, you first, and then Lee.
in order to only be AST, you have to be associate's degree granting, which none of us can be at this time.
Okay, I thought that was the thing. I just was asking because I knew at one time, listen, there was a bunch of discussion on where we're gonna be able to move, with the families up there in Colorado. But I didn't know, where to go to at that time. So.
No, they're still pushing us out.
Okay.
We're not bitter or anything, right, Julie?
Not one bit. I just went through a slide. It's a pain in my side.
Yes, but we will be dual as well.
Okay.
Autry's NCCT exclusive. Okay, thanks, Lee.
Thank you very much.
Again, anyone else? Okay. Hearing nothing, we're going to adjourn about 10 minutes late, but thank you guys so much for your time today. What we're going to do is put all this together, and you will have a chance to see everything and know what we're doing before it gets put into the framework, okay? And again, this is what you can call it what you want. You can do the hours that you want per courses, divide it how you want. As long as when you come into our system next year, you go Surge Tech, click. Yes, those are the courses we teach. Click. These are the tests we give. Click and move on. We're going to make it easier where you're not having to, you get to lie instead of telling us exactly what you're really doing. And hey, Nate, I'm really not that bad of a person. I look forward to meeting you in person. And I know that you probably have a bazillion questions after today. So.
Yeah, I was actually just typing, yeah, all good, clear as mud, thank you.
Oh, is that what you were gonna type? Yeah, he's like, oh my God, what have they got me into? Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's making more sense. I'm a blank canvas starting out, so all this process, is kind of good for me to learn as a baseline and move forward with it instead of, having to relearn everything. So,
okay, well, we're here if you need anything.
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Emily.
Happy weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
I appreciate it.